Discovery and analysis. The research vessel Eternal Curiosity drifted silently through the debris field, its sensors sweeping methodically through the aftermath of what must have been a devastating battle. Chief Science Officer Zilnox stood on the command deck, all 6 of his auxiliary eyes focused on the holographic display while his primary vision cluster remained fixed on the viewport. "Curious," he muttered, his vocal sac inflating slightly with the characteristic accent of the Vostiger Confederation. Most curious indeed. The debris field shouldn't have existed. According to all intelligence reports, the Chronax Imperium had deployed a battle group of 17 capital ships to this sector, more than enough to crush the single human vessel that had supposedly wandered into their territory. Yet here was evidence of a massacre, not of the human ship, but of the Chronax fleet. "Has the target been located?" Admiral Fravis asked, her chidness exoskeleton clicking softly as she approached the science station. Zilnox gestured to a distant speck visible against the backdrop of stars. "There, apparently intact." "Impossible," Fravis whispered. "No single vessel could have survived such an engagement, much less emerged victorious." Yet there it was. The human warship Defiance hung motionless in space, its sleek, dark hull absorbing, rather than reflecting the distant starlight. Unlike the elegant crystalline architecture of Vostiger vessels or the imposing, heavily armored Chronax dreadnoughts, the human ship had a brutal, functional aesthetic, no unnecessary ornamentation, no displays of artistic prowess or cultural identity. It was a weapon, pure and simple. "Prepare a boarding team," Fravis commanded. "I want that vessel secured and studied." Zilnox's respiratory membranes fluttered nervously. "Admiral, with respect, perhaps we should proceed with caution. If this vessel indeed destroyed 17 Chronax capital ships, all the more reason to understand how." Fravis interrupted. "The Confederation has maintained a policy of neutrality with both the humans and the Chronax. This is our opportunity to ensure we're not caught unprepared should either turn their attention to us." 12 hours later, Zilnox led a team of 8 specialists through the airlock and onto the human vessel. The ship appeared abandoned, life support systems functional, but no signs of the crew. Emergency lighting cast long shadows down empty corridors, and the constant low hum of machinery created an unsettling ambient noise that set Zilnox's nerve filaments on edge. "Preliminary structural analysis suggests conventional materials," reported Nelvera, the materials specialist, her antennae twitching as she scanned the bulkhead. "Nothing exotic. Standard titanium graphene composite reinforced with carbon nanotubes. Nothing that should withstand sustained bombardment from Chronax particle lances." "Perhaps the Chronax reports were exaggerated," suggested Kreth, the tactical specialist. "Perhaps they never engaged at all." Zilnox shook his head. "The debris contains confirmed Chronax signatures. They were here, and they were destroyed." The research team made their way to what appeared to be the bridge. Unlike Vostiger command centers with their elegant neural interface nodes, or the Chronax battle chambers with their ritual combat markings, the human bridge was almost austere in its functionality. Workstations surrounded a central command chair, their displays dark and silent. "Let's get to work," Zilnox ordered. "Nelvera, continue structural analysis. Kreth, access tactical systems if possible. Empath, see if you can retrieve the ship's logs." For 3 days, the team worked tirelessly, downloading and analyzing data from the ship's systems. What they found defied explanation. According to the battle logs, the Defiance had indeed engaged the entire Chronax battle group. The engagement had lasted precisely 4 minutes and 37 seconds. The Chronax had deployed their full weapons array, particle lances, gravitic disruptors, antimatter torpedoes, yet sensors showed no damage to the human vessel. More disturbing were the weapons' signatures, or rather, the lack thereof. The Defiance had apparently destroyed all 17 Chronax vessels without deploying any recognizable weapon system. No energy discharges, no projectiles, no exotic particles. One moment the Chronax ships existed, and the next they didn't. "This cannot be accurate," Zilnox muttered, reviewing the data for the 12th time. No known physics allows for this. Perhaps we're dealing with a technological leap, suggested Empath, the information specialist. Something beyond our current understanding. No, Nelvera interjected. I've analyzed every component of this vessel. The technology is advanced but comprehensible. There are no exotic materials, no unknown energy sources. By all accounts, this should be an unremarkable warship. Zilnox stared at the central display, where a simulation of the battle played out. 17 red icons representing the Kronex vessels surrounded a single blue dot for the Defiance. Then, one by one, the red icons simply vanished. No explosions, no debris patterns, no escape vectors. They simply ceased to exist. There's something we're missing, he said finally. Something fundamental. On the 4th day, they found it. Kreth had been examining what appeared to be the ship's defensive systems when he called the others to his workstation. Look at this, he said, pointing to a schematic of the vessel. These aren't shield generators as we initially thought. Well, I'm not sure what they are. The schematic showed a network of devices placed at regular intervals throughout the ship's hull. They weren't connected to the power systems, had no apparent energy signatures, and according to the ship's own technical specifications, served no purpose at all. They must do something, Nelvera said, examining the design. No engineer would install useless equipment, especially not on a military vessel where mass and space are at a premium. Empath had been silent, her neural tendrils connecting directly to the ship's information systems. Suddenly, she disconnected, her normally silver skin flushing a pale blue, the Vostigar equivalent of extreme distress. What is it? Zilnox demanded. What did you find? It's not what they are, Empath whispered. It's what they do. These aren't devices at all. They're focal points. Focal points for what? Belief. The room fell silent. Zilnox's auxiliary eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep confusion. Explain. I found reference to something called the quantum observer effect in the ship's theoretical database, Empath continued. It's an ancient human scientific principle. The act of observation affects the thing being observed. But they've weaponized it, expanded it. These focal points don't generate shields or weapons. They amplify the collective belief of the human crew. That's absurd, Kreth scoffed. Belief cannot affect physical reality. Cannot it? Empath challenged. Look at the battle data again. The humans didn't fire weapons at the Kronex. They simply refused to acknowledge the possibility of their own destruction. And somehow, that refusal was made manifest through these devices. Zilnox felt a cold dread creeping through his nervous system. Are you suggesting that human belief alone was enough to destroy 17 warships? Not just belief, Empath clarified. Focused, amplified belief, channeled through technology specifically designed to translate subjective certainty into objective reality. Before anyone could respond, the ship's systems suddenly activated. Displays lit up across the bridge, bathing the research team in harsh blue light. A voice, flat, artificial, but undeniably present, filled the room. Foreign presence detected. Security protocols activated. Analysis in progress. Zilnox's membranes fluttered in panic. We need to leave. Now. But it was already too late. The airlock had sealed behind them, and the ship was awakening. Revelation and consequence. Admiral Thravis paced the command deck of the Eternal Curiosity, her compound eyes fixed on the holographic representation of the human vessel where her research team remained trapped. Communication had been lost 6 hours ago, shortly after the ship's systems had unexpectedly activated. Any response to our hails? She demanded. The communications officer's antennae drooped. None, Admiral. We're broadcasting on all frequencies, including the human standard channels. Thravis clicked her mandibles in frustration. This was supposed to be a simple scientific mission: secure an abandoned vessel, analyze its capabilities, return with valuable intelligence. Now her best research team was trapped aboard a ship that had somehow destroyed 17 Kronax dreadnoughts without firing a single shot. "Prepare a rescue team," she ordered. "Full combat loadout." "Admiral," the tactical officer interjected. "Sensors detect increasing energy patterns within the human vessel. Nature unknown, but readings are off the scale." Before Thravis could respond, the human ship began to move. Not the gradual acceleration of conventional engines, but an instant transition from stillness to motion that defied the laws of inertia. One moment it hung motionless in space. The next, it was alongside the Eternal Curiosity, close enough that its hull filled the viewports. "Defensive posture," Thravis barked. "Shields at maximum." The bridge crew scrambled to comply, but before they could complete their preparations, every system on the Eternal Curiosity simultaneously shut down. Emergency lighting flickered on, casting the command deck in an eerie red glow. "What just happened?" Thravis demanded. "Unknown, Admiral," the systems officer replied, frantically working his console. "It's as if something reached into our ship and simply turned everything off." A communication channel opened, not through the ship's systems, which remained inactive, but somehow directly into the auditory perception of every crew member aboard. "Your researchers are unharmed," a voice stated. It was smooth, almost pleasant, with none of the mechanical quality that had initially activated on the human ship. "They have learned much, as have we." Thravis steeled herself. "This is Admiral Thravis of the Vostiger Confederation research vessel, Eternal Curiosity. Who am I addressing?" "I am the Defiance," the voice replied simply. "The ship. You're an artificial intelligence." A pause. "Not as you understand the concept. I am the collective." On the darkened bridge of the Defiance, Zilnox and his team watched in fascination and terror as the ship communicated with their vessel. They hadn't been harmed. Quite the contrary. Once the initial security protocols had completed their analysis, the ship had become almost accommodating, providing access to databases and systems previously hidden. "I don't understand," Zilnox said, addressing the ship directly. "What are you?" The holographic display in the center of the bridge activated, showing a complex network of interconnected nodes. "Human consciousness is unique in the galaxy," the ship explained. "Individual, yet capable of profound collective action when united in purpose. I am the embodiment of that paradox minus 268 human minds, voluntarily linked yet maintaining their distinct identities, focused on a single purpose: survival." "The crew," Nelvera whispered. "They're inside the ship somehow." "Not inside," the ship corrected. "I am them. They are me. The distinction you perceive is an artifact of your species' neural architecture." Kreth, ever the tactical specialist, focused on the practical implications. "And the Kronax fleet, how did you destroy them?" "I did not destroy them," the ship replied. "I simply established a local reality where their existence was incompatible with mine. The universe chose the more probable outcome. The implications were staggering. The humans hadn't built better weapons or stronger shields. They'd created technology that could manipulate the fundamental fabric of reality itself, powered not by exotic energy sources or advanced materials, but by the conscious will of its crew." "Why reveal this to us?" Zilnox asked. "Such technology gives you an incalculable advantage." The holographic display shifted, showing galactic map with thousands of points of light, human vessels, all apparently equipped with the same technology. "You misunderstand. This is not an advantage. It is necessity." New images appeared, vast, dark shapes moving between stars, entities so alien that Zilnox's mind struggled to comprehend their forms. "The universe is far older and stranger than any of our species have realized," the ship continued. "There are things in the dark between stars that consume not just matter and energy, but possibility itself. We call them the Void Eaters. They have been dormant for millennia, but they are awakening." "And you fight them with belief?" Nelvera asked incredulously. "We fight them with reality itself," the ship corrected. They consume possibility. We create it. They devour potential futures. We manifest new ones. It is a war not of weapons, but of existence itself. Admiral Thravis listened to the exchange through the mysterious connection the human vessel had established. Why tell us this? Why not simply leave after defeating the Kronex? Because the Void Eaters do not discriminate, the ship replied. When they fully awaken, all life in this galaxy will face extinction. Humans cannot fight this war alone. You want an alliance, Thravis realized. We want survival for all sentient life. The Kronex discovered one of the dormant Void Eaters and attempted to use it as a weapon. They did not understand what they were dealing with. Their actions have accelerated the awakening. On the bridge of the Defiance, Zilnox finally understood. The focal points throughout your hull. They're not just for defense or weapons. They're communication nodes, aren't they? A way to share this collective consciousness technology with other species. Yes, the ship confirmed. Humans discovered this method through desperation when the first Void Eater emerged near Earth 50 years ago. We barely survived. But we learned that when consciousness is properly focused and amplified, it can reshape local reality, create possibilities where none existed, manifest certainties from mere probabilities. And you believe our species could employ this same technology? Thravis asked skeptically. With modification for your neural architecture, yes. All conscious minds affect reality through observation. Humans have simply learned to control and direct that effect. Others can learn as well. They must learn, if any of us are to survive. A new hologram appeared, showing the design schematics for what appeared to be neural interfaces adapted for Vostagar physiology. These are gifts, the ship explained. Knowledge freely given. What you choose to do with it is, of course, your decision. For a long moment, silence filled both vessels. Finally, Admiral Thravis spoke, her voice firm despite the enormity of what she'd learned. I will need to consult with the Confederation Council. This goes beyond my authority as a fleet commander. Of course, the ship agreed. But be aware, time is limited. The Void Eaters stir. The one the Kronex disturbed has already consumed 3 systems on the outer rim. Stars that no longer exist. Worlds whose possibilities have been devoured. How long do we have? Zilnox asked. Months, perhaps a year before they reach populated systems. 5 years at most before they spread throughout the galaxy. The holographic display shifted once more, showing the research team something that defied description. A region of space that seemed to bend inward, stars disappearing not in a flash of destruction, but simply fading from existence as if they had never been. This is what we face, the ship said quietly. Not destruction, but uncreation. Not death, but never having been alive at all. Zilnox turned to Admiral Thravis, whose image now appeared on one of the bridge displays. Admiral, I believe we should accept their offer of knowledge. The evidence I've seen. This threat is real. Thravis's compound eyes shifted in the Vostagar expression of grave concern. Prepare to return to the Curiosity research team. We depart for Vostagar Prime immediately. The Council must be informed. As the research team gathered their equipment and the data they'd collected, Zilnox paused at the bridge entrance. One last question, he said to the ship. If the Void Eaters consume possibility itself, what hope do we truly have of defeating them? The ship's response was immediate, and for the first time, Zilnox thought he detected not just artificial certainty, but genuine emotion in its voice. Hope itself is a form of possibility, Science Officer Zilnox. Perhaps the most powerful form. It creates futures where none seem to exist. That is why human belief can reshape reality. Because at its core, belief is simply focused hope. And hope, properly directed, can manifest worlds. As the research team departed the Defiance, returning to their own vessel with knowledge that would forever change the Vostagar Confederation, and perhaps the fate of all intelligent life, Zilnox understood the true nature of the human warship and the revelation that had stunned them to their core. The humans hadn't created better weapons. They'd transformed themselves into something new, a species that could bend reality through collective will, manifest possibility through shared belief, and perhaps, just perhaps, create a future where the darkness between stars could be held at bay. The greatest power in the universe wasn't exotic physics or advanced technology. It was consciousness itself, and the humans had been the first to truly understand this fundamental truth. As the eternal curiosity broke orbit and set course for Vostagar Prime, Zilnox watched the human vessel shimmer and vanish, not through any cloaking technology, but by simply shifting the probability of its detection to zero. In its place remained only the data they had gathered and the knowledge they had been given, a blueprint for survival in a universe far stranger and more dangerous than any of them had imagined. The war for reality itself had begun.